Hi, and welcome along to AFTV. We are here for the Starting 11 show. Another big game. They seem to be coming thick and fast here for Arsenal. Last week it was Tottenham in the North London derby. Today it's another huge one. Arsenal versus Liverpool. And we're going to be all interested to see. I'm interested to see the Starting 11 on both sides to see what we're going to get today. Joining me to review the Starting 11, Dan Potts is in the building. Julian's here, and stupid clap.
Louis Walsh clap.
And James doing his tie impression there. You know, his clap.
This is a bit of a tie jacket, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you.
Here in the building as well. And listen, we're looking forward to this game. This is a huge game, and I cannot wait for it. Cannot wait for it. You buzzing for this? 89 and all that.
Yeah.
Bringing back memories. Have you got your shirt on?
It still doesn't fit me.
Is that the actual shirt you wore in 89?
The actual shirt I wore as a 17-year-old in 89. It was bought by my mum, about 3 sizes too big, and it's now about 1-2 sizes too small.
I don't believe it. Don't believe it.
I promise you it's the original.
I don't believe it. You wasn't 17.
I was 17. What do you mean I wasn't 17?
I'm joking, Jones. Of course I
was
am.
It's
always
pretty
17.
impressive. It still fits though, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm breathing in.
That's a piece of history you got there. Seriously.
Piece of history.
Piece of history, man.
Yeah.
You could auction that.
Well, it's priceless for me.
No, but legit, yeah, that's a shirt they wore, in that match. You're there at the ground. You wore it at that day it happened. That's pretty.
It's my second most valuable possession. The other one is the seat that I still have from Anfield from that night.
Oh, you told me you took it, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, I didn't quite take it. I was
vandalised the seat.
I did not vandalise the seat. I was jumping up and down because I was so happy.
Broke it.
And I broke it by accident. I thought, okay, this is a piece of tangible history. I'll take that home. This was before internet. On the Monday, my mum phoned Directory Inquiries, got the phone number of Liverpool, phoned them up and said, my son has taken your seat, can I have your address so I can send it back to you? At which point the lady on the other side laughed and said, well, he's actually done us a favour because we were replacing the seats in that stand anyway.
Wow,
So
what a story.
I kept the seat.
That's a great story.
That is a great story.
That's a great story. Love that story. Listen, I want to thank NordVPN today. Listen, let's just get into this from NordVPN. Are you invincible when it comes to privacy?
Are you invincible when it comes to your internet freedom?
Are you invincible when it comes to convenience?
Are you invincible when it comes to security?
Are you invincible when it comes to speed?
Be invincible with NordVPN as they proudly power the AFTV Matchday Live experience.
And now, the 2-year plan comes with a huge discount of 4 extra months for free for our fans.
Click the link to be invincible. Thanks to NordVPN. Don't forget they're going to be sponsoring, right? All of our Matchday Live experiences, right? So coming up very soon, you'll see a lot more on Nord. And I had that VPN when I was over in Florida, and it's good to keep your phone protected. You know what? just before we get into the Starting 11, the first sort of comment I come across today is a super chat when this guy calls himself Don Robbie's Death Stare. I've seen him on a lot of. I love that, right?
Excellent.
But he says, "I beg you chat about what Aubameyang said about Mikel, and essentially call his ex-players yes man beaters." Now, James, we were talking about this before we even come on here.
Semi-heated debate about it, actually.
James very upset about it. James, you're slightly. If you haven't seen it, it's all over Instagram and Twitter at the moment, where people have posted it. Basically, Aubameyang looks like he's doing an interview. Now, he doesn't actually say this on the interview. He's been caught on what they call a hot mic or caught on camera. Basically, someone sneakily filmed it on their phone. And basically what Aubameyang says is that when it comes to Mikel Arteta, he can't handle big characters and big players. He can't deal with it. He needs some young players who don't say anything. So that's what he was saying. But he didn't say it in the actual interview. He was sort of saying it off camera sort of thing when he was being asked about it by these people around him. Now, you're not happy about this at all. I mean, you were raging.
Yeah. Okay, let's get the first bits out of the way. First, I've always liked Aubameyang at Arsenal. We gave him a real send-off, especially here on this channel. And you made a good point, Robbie, that I do agree with. He's not really spoken about the club or what happened since he left. I think he's been very classy about it all. Moved to Chelsea and cool, that's all fine. I don't think there's any real ill feeling towards Aubameyang from the Arsenal fan base, even though he's moved to Chelsea. My issue with it is actually not what he said about Mikel Arteta. I actually kind of expect him to have that opinion. They fell out. He's not going to have the best things to say about him. And then he was kind of kicked out of the team. And we saw those scenes in All or Nothing. They look quite sad. We said that in our review. He's off training by himself. It wasn't a picture we liked seeing. So I completely understand and actually expect him to have that stance on Arteta. Whether it's true or not, fair or not, that's the way he sees it, fine. The issue I've got is what he said about the players there. Young players are quiet, don't say anything. For me, that comes across with a degree of kind of, that yes man kind of, they're not going to say anything, they're quiet, they're not really going to, almost they don't have it in them, they're too young, they don't, they're kind of finding their place, whatever. I take issue with that.
That does happen though, don't it?
These are these are young players who are carrying this club at a time where his form dropped dramatically dropped. And there's players like Saka who are stepping up, and Smith Rowe who are stepping up, and Martinelli who are stepping up. Now I'm sure he gets on, because we all know he's a fan's favourite in dressing rooms, and we know that he got on really well with those players, and I'm sure there's a good relationship there. But the way that came across, I don't like it personally. The other thing I don't like is when he says Arteta doesn't like big characters. Okay, I think he's talking about people who maybe are quite vocal, happy to challenge the manager, who have a lot of experience. I think he's talking about that kind of stuff. What I will say is, don't mistake this Arsenal group, a young group, for not having big characters. For me, a big character, Bukayo Saka stepping up to take a penalty in the Euros final. Saliba playing the amount of football he has at this level at 21 years old. Players like Zinchenko coming on with 45 minutes to go, making a difference to win Manchester City a Premier League title. Those, for me, are big characters. I get what he's saying. I get where he's coming from.
Come on, he's talking about big characters and that.
But I don't like his use of that.
Hold on, so you'll have in an organisation, you'll have a character that, somebody's fairly quiet, won't really say something might even upset them. They'll just,
I think that's unfair.
Hold on, let me finish my piece. They're young. They might just say, just keep it quiet, I really feel to say something, but... And then you've got other characters that maybe been around the block a bit longer, stronger characters who will actually say, yeah, hold on a minute, I don't like this, man. Or, hold on a minute, why am I playing? Or, hold on a minute, why am I playing as a... Now, we hear stories of this all the time. And even look at you saying earlier, Dan, when we look at the All or Nothing documentary, it's sort of that came across, didn't it, in a way?
I think so. I think there's two ways to look at this. Personally on Aubameyang, I don't care now. He's gone. We're top of the league. We're playing well. It's time to move on from the Aubameyang stuff. Now, if this is coming in an actual Sky Sports News interview, I think we could probably understand why people might get the hump. But apparently, it's a passing comment from what we hear, right?
Yeah, so if someone filmed it behind the scenes on their phone, very sneakily, yeah.
So there's two ways to look at what he said as well. He might think that Mikel Arteta can't control the big characters. That might just be what his opinion is. If you ask Mikel Arteta that question, can you control the big characters? He will turn around and say, I can, but if they not want to get on the bus, they can go. Now that's the difference.
Which he made pretty clear.
He's made that very clear as well. So I think the way that Aubameyang sees it is he can't handle the big characters. The way Arteta will see it is, he's a big character, yeah, I agree with that, but it wasn't that I couldn't handle him, is that he didn't want to buy into what we were doing. So he's now gone. So there's two ways to look at it, I think. And I think if you look into what Aubameyang's saying there, I think he has probably said, I don't really care, but I don't think he could deal with me, and that's why I've gone. So I think you've got two ways to look at it. Personally, we're top of the league, it's going well.
I agree.
I couldn't give a damn what Aubameyang thinks.
What about you?
I'd have to say, to begin with, I'm with you on the fact that he was stitched up by probably a friend, and that a lot of us might think something, but would we say it publicly, and should you be stepped on for what your inner thoughts are? But then he should have had the professionalism and maybe experience not to be expressing that, especially with a microphone on. What he actually said, I think you've got.
So he's secretly filmed, though.
Yeah,
I feel for him there.
He's secretly filmed, and I think that was unfair on him. But then you've got to look at what your definition of a big character is, because he mentions Ozil in the same sentence. So he said that you couldn't handle big characters like myself, and I think someone else said about Ozil.
Yeah, someone brings up to him, yeah.
His opinion is that a big character is someone that questions the manager. Now, what Arteta's got is players that buy into what he wants to do. And if you've got someone on the outside, and that's in effect what Aubameyang put himself. He put himself as an outsider because he wasn't buying into the manager's vision. Now, the team is a team. It's not about individuals. And I felt that he was putting his own self-interest ahead of the team, and that's never going to work.
Listen, I'm with Dan on this, right? Number one, I don't care. I see everyone losing it over it. I'm like, this guy don't even play for us no more, right? We're playing well. Why do we care? Number two, it's been secretly filmed. If he came out and he did that in an interview, I'd have a problem with it, because I'd be like, hey, hold on, wait a minute. Why are you doing that? Keep your mouth shut. Arteta has not really come out and said too much about you, so you shouldn't, but he didn't. He's been secretly filmed. We in this studio right now could say something, be secretly filmed, that, we would not say in public. You know what I mean? So I think I don't know, man. I personally, I don't really care. I mean, I look on it, I say he's a Chelsea player now. He's moved on. There's obviously been a problem between him and the manager. They obviously don't get on. So what do we expect him to be off camera saying loads of nice things about Arteta? He's not going to be in it. And if we had a off camera thing on Arteta, he wouldn't be saying nice things about,
That's true.
But both of them on camera have been very professional. I've respected both of them.
I agree.
Because both of them obviously must have strong views on it that are totally opposite views.
Yeah.
But on camera, neither of them have said anything. Yeah, when Aubameyang went to Barcelona, he didn't say nothing.
But they could have contractual reason for that.
When Arteta was asked about it, Arteta said, you know what, good luck. I remember them probing him in press conferences and saying to Arteta, what do you think now he's back at Chelsea, and what reception's he going to get when he comes back? And Arteta goes, he deserves to get a good reception because he's done good things for us, right? And I only wish him the best. So on camera, they've done it, but off camera, come on, let's be real. Let's be people naive here. These guys don't like each other. They've had a falling out. It happens all the time in football.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
All the time. All the time. You could go and speak to a load of ex-players right now, and they will tell you that, there was fallouts in dressing rooms. Managers didn't like that. Because like you said, it can be sometimes a manager don't...
misconstrued.
He wants everyone on side.
Of course.
And obviously Aubameyang weren't on side.
I've no issue with what he said about Arteta. I fully expect him to have those feelings. That is so fine. And I agree with you. He's been stitched up. It looks to me anyway, and that's a shame. I think that comment about the younger players felt to me like a little bit. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he said it in public. It felt to me. It felt disrespectful to the young players to me. And this is someone that I know always got on really well as a fan's favourite or was a player's favourite in the dressing room. So that's what took me by surprise.
Personally, I don't care. What I do care about is the information you're going to give me now about how we're going to beat Liverpool. Yeah, how are we going to beat Liverpool today? That's what I want to know about. And that's what, you know what I mean? Because that, for me, if we could beat Liverpool today, it'd be huge. Yeah. Absolutely huge. We've had a shocking record against them. But I know I've heard some people saying, oh yeah, we should take care with easy, man. They'd be playing crap. But
I hate that though.
I hate that as well, because they are a team, if they turn up today, we're in problems. They've got quality all over the park. Right? So we have to bring, this is one of those A game where we've got to bring the A game, or it's defeat. I don't think we can bring, even play like a B game. It has to be the A game or it's a defeat. What are you tactically making of how we can...
they're an interesting one. They're a really interesting one, Liverpool, because we're talking about a side that a couple of months ago were in a quadruple race, something that I think is pretty unprecedented in English football. I can't remember a team have a run quite like that. They play literally every game in the calendar, were, a City turnaround away from winning the title and a goal away from winning the Champions League. But they've not looked anywhere near that side this season. In fact, I looked at some stats on the DR Talking Tactics show, which I do with Matisse earlier this week, talking about Liverpool. Things like pressures in the attacking third, tackles in the attacking third, where they ranked first and second last year. That's dropped to 6th and 9th in the Premier League this year. So clearly there's an intensity that's dropped about them, and Jurgen Klopp's trying to do something to fix it. Now, we had a really interesting super fan debate where a lot of the players, a lot of the fans, Drifty, Fuizzi, AGT, were talking about Fabinho's form, how poor he's looked, and that's why I'm going to take you guys here to the tactical pad and look at the starting 11 he went with against Rangers. Interesting thing, he mixed it up, went with a 4-4-2, Henderson and Thiago at the base. Now, my first thought is, I wouldn't do that against Arsenal because we're so good at dominating midfields. I wouldn't have just two of Henderson, Thiago. Neither naturally DMs, though can play there. And he brought in Jota behind Nunes. I'll touch on the formation bit in a second. The one thing I did do for Liverpool, and I'm just going to take it to this bit of analysis here I want to do is talk about Núñez's shots against Rangers in this game. Now the yellow dotted line is Núñez's runs, and I've numbered each chance, and then you've got the red and the pink is the ball movement. What you see with all these is Núñez covering a lot of ground before he actually gets the ball to get his shot at goal. What he was doing all game was running in beyond, and Jota at the 10 was the focal point. He was the one that the ball was getting pinged into. I think that's true of the fourth chance, where he's the one who rolls it into Núñez, and in the first one as well, where he gets his shot away, saved by McGregor. It's Jota who is getting the ball from Salah, and then it kind of finds its way to Núñez. With those opportunities, Núñez, instead of being the one who has to drop in and link up in the way Mane did, Firmino did for so long, he is actually stretching the defence and running and beyond. So while he didn't take his chances, while he didn't score, he was constantly stretching that back line. He was constantly asking Rangers questions because of that movement. You see it mostly with that second chance. Henderson, one ball in behind, touch from Núñez, and he gets a shot at goal. Now, that's going to be a problem for Arsenal because you've got players like Saliba, Gabriel want to play on the front foot, they want to press, and they're going to leave space in behind. So I wonder whether he's going to ignore the fact that you might want a Fabinho in there to then stretch Arsenal defensively and have a player like Núñez who's going to do that. The other thing though, when I take it back to the starting 11 and think to myself, why now? Why the 4-2-3-1 for Klopp, and why would he stick with it? I was thinking, well, Arsenal, they've only lost one game all season. It was Man United. And then I remembered, it kind of clicked with me there. Yeah, Man United, who played a 4-2-3-1 in that game. And one of the things we struggled to deal with all game was that pass from Eriksen to Bruno Fernandes. Eriksen sitting deeper, Bruno Fernandes in the 10, Rashford stretching the pitch. It's actually the one formation and tactic that's outdone Arteta and Arsenal this season. While we had a lot of the ball, we couldn't deal with them on the counter-attack. So I really wonder whether this game against Rangers was not only him trying to mix it up to get Liverpool going again, but was actually something he was trying to deploy to basically get them used to something that has beaten and undone Arsenal once already this season.
But they're not used to it. You think they're going to come... I've never seen sort of Liverpool be counter-attacking team against Arsenal, have they? They just do. You think they might try that?
I do, for the pure fact that what they've been trying already hasn't been working. And also, it's interesting that the first time they've done, as James said, was against Rangers. So I think when you look at the situation for them up top, it's probably not so much the issue, it's their midfield for me. And I think if they're going to change any part of their team, it will be the midfield. If it's going to be Fabinho and Henderson, Fabinho and Thiago, I don't know the team news yet, of course, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do that, because Jurgen Klopp cannot drop more points today. He can't. Because Liverpool are out of a title race already, and if they come and do what they've tried to do against most of the teams that have failed this season, and they failed against us, I don't know where they go. So for me, it wouldn't surprise me if there is a similar formation to what James has put up there. Whether or not it's going to be exact in terms of the team, I don't know. But for me, I'd be surprised. Listen, we've got to go for it. I don't think we change any part of our game. I don't think we do. You know, we'll come on to the team news. We'll come on to what we expect it to be. My only issue is everybody's been laughing at Liverpool's right-hand side. That to me is still, on their day, the most threatening. Trent Alexander-Arnold and Salah are no Muppets, right? They might not have been playing that great this season, but if I look at it, the one reason I think Trent struggled this season is because Van Dijk has been poor. Yeah, and if he is going forward, then he can sometimes have an absolute elite centre-half to sort him out on that right-hand side, and he hasn't had that this season. And that has affected Salah, of course. But for me, you know, I know there's doubts about Zinchenko. I would play Tierney today because of that right-hand side, because I think he's better defensively than Zinchenko, and I personally believe that's their biggest threat. So, yeah, we go for it. There's nothing I would say in our team at the moment that I would look to try and tweak at all, because the way it's been working at the moment has been good, man.
Would you play Zinchenko or Tierney?
I'd play Tierney. Because I'm concerned about that side. I don't think that Liverpool will come and play that way, because the way Klopp, I mean, yes, Klopp can't afford to lose points, but he's the kind of manager that has a philosophy, and he has a philosophy to football. And the way his team's always played has been high intensity, and I don't think, not that he's not capable of changing the way that he wants to play, but I don't think he wants to change the way he plays. His primary focus is to entertain and play a certain way, and he's not going to be a park the bus manager, regardless of what position he's going to be in. I think he'll go out all guns blazing.
Yeah. What about you, James? Do you think you've given those, you've listed those tactics that you could deploy, but do you think he'll change from the normal Liverpool style? I mean, the normal Liverpool style has always beaten us.
Yeah,
It's always been successful.
Yeah, for a long time, before they kind of shored things up with Van Dijk and Alisson, they were a will outscore you team. That was kind of the way they played. I remember them knocking out Roma in the Champions League some ridiculous aggregate scoreline. And I think he's almost reverting a little bit to that, because he knows the defence is looking a bit shaky, but let's try commit what we can going forward and outscore teams. Do I expect him to change? If you'd asked me 2 days ago, I'd have said I think he'll keep Fabinho in there and go with what's worked. But the more I think about it, I actually think he will want players like Nunez who cause chaos and players like that. I think he'll probably say, you know what, we might concede 2 to Arsenal today, but let's try to score 3 or 4. I really think that might be the way Klopp approaches it. I don't think he's one to tighten up and be pragmatic. I think over a season he might improve the defence and work on it, but for a one-off game I think he's going to say, let's go with our firepower and show what we're about.
Zinchenko or Tierney for you?
Zinchenko for me. The old, it's not broken, don't fix it, but also he gives us such control in midfield. I don't think he's bad defensively. There's this idea, I mean, Tierney is better defensively, but Zinchenko's perfectly fine. You know, he'll have a tough job against Salah, but I said the same about Richarlison, and Son sometimes goes over to the area, and we had so much control of the ball that it didn't matter. So if Arteta's idea is to have the ball and cause Liverpool problems, then he wants Zinchenko.
Tomiyasu or White?
I thought he was quality on Thursday, by the way, Tomiyasu. And I love the fact that he just slotted in at left back, and it was as if he played there for years. But I think that, like James says, if it's not broken, don't fix it over with Ben White. And I did say, I think it was against Brentford I did the show here, and I said, I'd probably play Tomiyasu because aerially he's a threat. I don't think we're going to need that so much today, but I do disagree with James over that left-hand side. For me, Zinchenko, I love him on the ball. I think he's really important to the way that we play in terms of us going forward, but I don't think Kieran Tierney is bad going forward, and I think he's so much better defensively. Emerson Royale and Richarlison were pretty poor, thankfully, because they had all the time in the world because of Zinchenko last weekend. And that first half, it was like, where is he playing? Is he a left wing back, a left winger, a left forward? Because he had a left back, Zinchenko, I'll tell you that now. The way that he played there, positionally, he was all over the place, and we were lucky. So that would worry me with Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold today. I really like Zinchenko, and this isn't me slating him at all. I think he's been fantastic, brilliant signing, love him on the ball. But I do think discipline and positioning-wise, Kieran Tierney is so much better.
What about you, Tomiyasu or Ben White?
Marginally, Ben White. One of the reasons being is I wouldn't change it, and also with Tomiyasu, I don't think he's as good coming forward, but he's better aerially, and I think we're covered in that position against Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool, the way that they play, it's sort of big balls lumped forward.
All right, what about you, James? The same question, Tomiyasu or Ben White?
Ben White, again, he's been playing brilliantly.
Agreed.
I don't think he had that same... Yeah, Tomiyasu, again, defensively better than Ben White, sure. But, again, White's perfectly fine. You look at the job he did against Zaha. So, yeah, I'll stick with Ben White. He's been awesome.
Okay. Sky SP says Jesus or Bentner.
It's a tough one.
That shows you the step up that we've made. And he's going to be a very important player today, isn't he, Jesus?
Listen, I think with Jesus, what we've seen is sheer quality. And then when he comes on the other night, everyone's thinking, what's he coming on for? And that's why he come on, because he shows his sheer quality yet again. Thought that bit of skill was outstanding, by the way, on the left-hand side. Absolutely superb. And it proves to me, Robbie, that he can play anywhere across that front three. I do prefer him in the number 9. But even when he is on the number 9, I've seen him over that left-hand side before, on the right-hand side likewise. I think the reason he's going to be so important is because at the moment, he looks the one that everybody is looking up to. He's the top dog. He was never the top dog at Man City, but he is now. And I think that although he's been, not just because he's been scoring our goals, he's been assisting goals, I think his intensity has had a massive effect on our left-hand side of our pitch, because Martinelli has been out of this world this season. I think that's massively to do with Jesus. Granit Xhaka behind him, fantastic. We've already talked about Zinchenko and Tierney. And I think Jesus on that left-hand side has basically done what Thierry Henry used to do at that time, is do a lot of work on that left-hand side, and that's where we've been really dangerous. So for me, he's key today.
Yeah, Martinelli's another player that, you know, he's going to be key today. We've spoken about the weaknesses of Trent Alexander as a defender. Going forward, we all know about his qualities, but as a defender, and it's going to be Martinelli's job to, number one, push Trent back as far as possible, or try and get him behind Trent Alexander as far as possible, and number two, when Trent is on the front foot and attacking, to get back and help out the defence.
Yeah, he's, I mean, as Klopp said, player of the century, and he predicted that 2-3 seasons ago, and he's fulfilling that. He really is. And if he is on form today for us, then I wouldn't say Trent doesn't get a kick, but as you said, Trent gets pushed back, and Trent's main strength in football is going forward. If you don't allow him to get forward and attack for Arsenal, I think this game will be the best form of defence. push the guy back into his own half, and he can't damage us, can't hurt us.
Sorry, just on that, I think it was the last game. We know we lost 2-0 at home. Martinelli was having a real good time against Trent that day. And I think Klopp's answer to it wasn't to take Trent off, it was to take Matip off, I believe, and bring on Konate. So I don't think he actually sees Trent, because of how high he gets up the pitch and what he offers going forward. I don't think he sees Trent in those one-on-one battles as the answer to stopping Martinelli. I think he sees the next line of defence, which is when he gets that right-sided centre-back. So that will be interesting. I don't know about Konate's fitness. I know he's not played as much recently. It'd be interesting if he is to go with someone like Konate at the back today, or again how much Matip's going to come across to try and deal with that threat. So I think Klopp sees it differently.
Yeah, I was about to say that on the right-hand side as well, we've been carrying a big threat in the last couple of games in Saka as well, hasn't he? He's been excellent in the last couple of games as well.
Yeah, and I think one of the most underrated performers this season has probably been Ben White, to be fair. And I think Saka has started to get into the games now. I don't think he's had a bad season. People think he's had a real quiet season. And
I thought last week against Tottenham he was unplayable at times.
I thought he was outstanding. And you look at the creativity and the assists that he's still got even in this season, and Saka's not had a bad season at all. I think with Ben White, a lot of people are saying now that he's starting to overlap, and that's causing some problems. And I think that's something that Tomiyasu and Ben White in his start of this season probably weren't doing enough. I've been really impressed with Ben White doing that. I think that causes a lot of chaos, and was one of the goals that we scored because of that overlap. And I think that's what we're going to start to see more of now. I think Ben White's grown in confidence in that position, and it was something that I had a little bit of a worry about long term. But for me, Ben White has proved all the critics wrong at right back. I think he's been superb, and I think over the last couple of games, Saka's really got into the mix as well. And I think Ødegaard's massively important to Saka as well, because that right-hand side of him, the way that he's playing. So Saka will be a threat today, of course.
Yeah, listen, we're only a couple of minutes away from knowing what the starting 11 is going to be. Just a couple of score updates. West Ham winning 2-1 against Fulham at home. I think Scamacca just scored. And the Leeds game, which is up on the screen at the moment, Leeds versus Crystal Palace, that is 1-1 at the moment. Of course, if Arsenal were to win today, they'd go back to the top of the league, and it would be a statement win, wouldn't it be, Julian? I mean, I think if you beat Tottenham and then follow it up by beating Liverpool, then people start to really take notice of this team.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is no surprise what's happening this season. I think we've been building towards this for the last couple of seasons. If we win today, we've put Liverpool to bed. I can't see Liverpool coming back and being championship contenders. I think they're pretty much out of it. My feelings on Spurs.
Massive for them then, isn't it?
It's actually a bigger game for Liverpool than it is for us.
I think they've got City next week.
Yeah,
they could be well and truly if they was to lose those two. So they really got to get something.
Yeah, but then it could work in our favour twice, because next week they've got nothing to lose. They lose to us now, they're out of it. They then just have to go and save face. Is it at Anfield next week?
I think so, isn't it? Is it Anfield?
Yeah, we'll be at Anfield next week.
I think it's Anfield.
Okay, so if they lose today, the Anfield crowd will absolutely demand a performance, and that could work.
It's all right demanding it.
No, but
Haaland to come up against it.
Okay, but you've seen it before. That crowd at Anfield could, I know it's a bit of a statement, but it's their 12th man. The atmosphere at Anfield is second to none. And I know that we're Arsenal fans and we're supposed to be biased, and the atmosphere this season has been tremendous.
It ain't really helped them much this season, has it?
But it's nothing. I mean, Anfield is...
it
hasn't.
This is where Brighton were winning 2-0 the other day, was at Anfield.
Yeah, but then they got it back, didn't they?
They got it back.
It's just a very special place to play football.
Liverpool fans and Liverpool players would probably have more confidence in getting something out of today than next weekend, just the way that Man City are doing. Honestly, man.
No, I actually think, with their away form, they haven't won away this season. But Anfield, with that crowd, even when Liverpool weren't that great, Anfield's never been an easy place to go to. And I think if they can lose today, then they've got to get a result next week.
Let me give you the team, the Arsenal team, and I could say this is the Arsenal team. It's Aaron Ramsdale in goal, Ben White, Gabriel, William Saliba, Tomiyasu. Looks like Tomiyasu, from what I can see there, is going to be playing at left back.
Must be injuries.
Thomas Partey, Xhaka, Ødegaard, Martinelli, Saka and Jesus. That's the starting lineup. And the Liverpool starting lineup is Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk, Tsimikas in for Robertson, Henderson and Thiago in, Jota, Salah, Diaz and Nunes. So that suggests that you're right, James, that they are going to go with that same formation you were talking about. On the subs bench, by the way, this is very interesting for us. On the subs bench is Turner, Tierney on the bench.
What is that?
Cedric, Holding, Lokonga, Vieira, Marquinhos, Nelson and Nketiah. There's no Zinchenko, but Tierney doesn't make the starting lineup. Tomiyasu looks like he's starting at left back. Now, that's an interesting change. Is there some sort of slight knock in there that why he hasn't started? It's a strange
I don't get
change.
That. I don't get that whatsoever. I'm not saying Tomiyasu is a shocking left back. I'm not saying he's not going to do a good job. But that, for me, makes me question where Kieran Tierney's future is. Because he can't get ahead of Zinchenko or Tomiyasu now. I mean, maybe it's just for this game. Tierney was, for me, man of the match on Thursday. Comes off at 70 minutes. For me, he's guaranteed to start. And he finds himself on the bench. What's he done wrong? How is Tomiyasu, who sat on the bench most of the season, going to come in now at left back and be justified to play ahead of Kieran Tierney, who I think is as good defensively as Tomiyasu?
I wonder if he's picked up some sort of knock on something. I mean, he's a strange one.
Could well be tactical. If you want a more naturally right-footed playing Tomiyasu up against Salah's left foot, maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's something in Tomiyasu being something, a threat from set pieces, or at least defensively very good in the air as well. And Tierney's brilliant defensively, but don't forget, when Zinchenko was out, it was Tierney who played in the Fulham and Villa games at home. So he has turned to Tierney over Tomiyasu when he's had this problem before, which makes you think this is tactical. He's choosing for this game to go for Tomiyasu at left back.
It's a strange one, isn't it? Larry says, shout out to my Arsenal crazy Japanese cousin Lee K, Seaman, who turns 30 today. Could the panel wish him a happy birthday? Happy birthday to you. Hopefully you'll be celebrating an Arsenal win. But yeah, it's a strange one.
Is it free at the back? Is he going Tomiyasu, Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba and Saka, and then with Xhaka, Partey, Ødegaard, Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli? Is that what he's doing?
I don't think so. I think because he hasn't got any real natural wing backs in there.
I don't get this. I can't understand what Tierney's done wrong there.
He might have
Maybe
it is a knock.
Maybe it is a knock, like you say, but that to me doesn't make any sense as to why you would play Tomiyasu, who's come in as a right back for the Europa League games, and go, do you know what? You're ready to start. Oh, cool. Is Ben White being dropped? No, you're playing at left back, mate. What, ahead of Tierney? Yep, you're better than him. I don't get it. I don't get what Tierney's done wrong there. I find that mad. And maybe I'm biased because he's my favourite player, but I don't really understand what Kieran Tierney's done there not to deserve to start. I really don't get it.
Well, we were all debating Zinchenko or Tierney.
Yeah.
None of them playing.
No thanks.
None of them playing. I mean, it's a bit odd for you?
It's odd, but I do trust Arteta. I trust his judgment on this, and there must be something that Arteta knows that we don't, and it could be a knock, or it could just be for this game. I can't see this being a permanent move. There's something he's seen, technically and strategically, that he thinks Tomiyasu is better to deal with that side of things than Tierney.
There's a lot of work for Martinelli now, because sometimes the get out of jail card for Martinelli is a Zinchenko Tierney overlap. Tierney does it more than Zinchenko, but being naturally left-footed, they can both do it. If he wants to come inside, that space is covered there. He's not going to have that now. Tomiyasu isn't going to overlap and whip it in with his left foot. He barely does that when he's playing a right back, to be fair. So it's a lot of work for him, and Xhaka will have to push on quite a lot to support him in that area. It's really interesting.
You can see Lee Judges in the background there on his phone. You happy with that? Strange. He's saying it's strange as well. He's saying it seems like a strange one. Listen, he's good at defending, isn't it? One-on-one. He's like, Tomiyasu. We know he's not gonna. He won't let us down. It's just that if Tierney's fit, he don't let us down normally either. You know, I mean, is it the pace of, or is it just? I don't know. It's a bit of a strange one.
Positionally, Tomiyasu is disciplined. Doesn't go wandering. He doesn't get past the halfway line ever, really, does he? So maybe they're looking at that and thinking, keep Trent Alexander and Salah quiet. Don't let him into our area. I don't know, but I just find it odd where Kieran Tierney sits now, and he won't think like this because he's a professional lad. But does he sit there and think, right, I can't get in his first team when Zinchenko's here, and now against the big boys?
Although it could be a tactical thing for one game.
That's what I'm hoping. Because for me,
So it's very
worrying
Pep-like,
otherwise.
isn't it? Very Pep Guardiola-like, you know what I mean?
It might work out. It might be a genius move. We don't know yet.
They
but
tend
it's
to
an
not
odd one.
be. They tend to not. Even with Pep, it tends to be more. Why didn't you just stick to what you knew? Because when you stick to what you're doing, often and you're playing the better football and you're the better team in the league.
Ralph
But we'll
says-
see. Maybe he doesn't see us as that with Liverpool.
Ralph says, bro, calm down. You don't know more than the coach.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, well, we don't.
Yeah.
No, but hold on. I've got to take.
But then the thing is, we don't. You
Can I
don't
say
know more
something
than the
about that
coach. But
comment?
why change it?
I take issue with that comment. And this is why I take issue, because of course we don't. No one's sitting here going, I know more
never
than
said we
Mikel
were.
Arteta.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he not on the phone to me listening to my thoughts? Right? No one is saying that. But there's always evidence. Everyone has opinions. Everyone sees things differently. I spent the whole that season behind lockdown wondering why Bellerin was starting week in, week out over Cedric, who I thought there was a better player. And I kept thinking, surely Arteta's seeing something. What happens a year later? Bellerin's off and Cedric's starting every week. So turns out I was maybe right about that one. It happens. It's just opinions. You see different things. You like
Dave
different
Jordan's
things.
not happy with you. He said, Danny's anti-Arsenal. Go and support Spurs and Conte.
Yeah, he likes to say that, does Dave? He likes that one. Doesn't agree
That's
with
a
my
bit
comment,
harsh.
so I need to go and go down the road and support Tottenham. Which is
different
mad
opinions.
because they don't win anything and I want to win. So why would I go and support them?
Siddharth says this has all to do with heading out crosses to Salah.
Maybe they like the switch pass. He stretches the pitch, which isn't what we used to see him do over the years. He's always been like a third striker, getting near the goal. Recently, he goes quite far wide and waits for the switch ball. Maybe there's something in that.
He's a better ball player, better as an inverted fullback.
Yeah,
that might
The only
be true.
thing is about
that
him,
might well be true.
The thing about him, you don't get forward a lot. That's what I noticed with him. He's not that guy that gets forward a lot, does he? So
we've always been
basically he's going to be doing
Liverpool.
a lot of defending, just sitting there and defending.
Let's hope it's a masterclass stroke because it has to be for me now. I mean, this one, I did say that right hand side will be their threat. It will be. I know they're
cracking goal, by the way, by Paris.
Eze, what a goal!
Great goal he just scored.
What
There
a
to
goal.
check that 2-1. Is this a good omen? The two home teams winning so far. They were both
Well
losing
done,
as well.
Robbie.
Joe Abdi says, what happened to Fabinho?
Been playing terribly, hasn't he?
Is he on the bench?
Watch super fan debate. Even if you watch it after the game, it's really worth watching the combined 11 to hear what Drifty and Fuiz yet to say about Fabinho. I found it so interesting.
Yeah,
they weren't
basically
impressed by him, were they?
they were talking about attitude and commitment and all that.
Poor time of it. Big Ash said, I've said this since Zinchenko came. Tierney's days are over. He's not effective as an inverted left back, and that's important for Xhaka to play well. Listen, I know it's not the same opposition, but I thought Tierney was excellent during the week. You know what I mean?
my man of the match.
Yeah,
He's quality.
Pennis says, I'm going 3-1 to Arsenal, Jesus hat-trick and a penalty for Salah. Patrick says, are we playing three at the back and Saka as a left wing back? I hope not. And Makram says, Tomiyasu is severely overrated. He will prove us all wrong today. We all rate Tomiyasu.
It's not
It's just that he's a right-footed right winger.
But he can play.
We know he can
both
play
feet.
there. I mean, he's versatile. He can play centre back as well. But it's just a bit of a strange one that if Tierney's fit, that he's playing. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right, let's get some match predictions. Let's start with Mr. Negativity, according to Dave Jordan. Dan Potts, we're going to lose 5-0, right?
No, man, listen, it ain't all about that, man. It ain't all about negativity. I'm just surprised that
You're being
Tomiyasu is
positive.
playing.
I know you're
That's
being
all,
positive.
man. I feel that we can win 2-1. I've gone with my heart. There's a head and heart moment, I think, because Liverpool cannot drop points here today. They can't, in my opinion, because they've got Man City next, and their season could be a ridiculous season if they lose this and to Man City. The way
I know what you mean. It doesn't sound right, does it?
Doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound right. But for me, I feel personally that the way we're playing, and even with Tomiyasu, who I do rate, by the way, and I do think we'll have a fine game, I'm going to go 2-1 to the Arsenal, mate.
2-1. Julian?
I think with Tomiyasu now in the team, it's going to be a low-scoring game. Both from our perspective, we're not going to bomb forward. From their perspective, we're going to be more defensively minded. And another reason why I think Tomiyasu could be playing is because we've all accepted he is a quality player. Now, keeping a quality player out of the team for so long and not giving him the opportunity, you're going to lose that quality. They're either going to get disenchanted and leave, or they're going to lose their confidence, or both.
Then leave. We're top of the league at the moment.
But if you never get a game, what's the point?
He does get games.
He's had a game. He's had a game, and he has waited his time, and he's got his chance.
Listen, you play for big clubs, man. You've got to wait for your opportunity.
Yeah, and he's got his opportunity today, and he's going to be motivated probably more than ever, because this is his chance to impress in front of them. You know, we've always got big crowds at Arsenal, but a massive TV audience. This is his opportunity to come back and show what quality he is.
Certainly hope so. What's the score?
So on that basis, I think it'd be 1-0 to the Arsenal, my favourite scoreline.
1-0.
Is it your favourite scoreline?
It is.
Wow.
What about you, James?
I said 2-2 and everything. I'm going to stick with it, even with the lineups out. I can see plenty of goals. I can see each team having their chances. I can see it be one of those games where you come out of it and think either side could have won it. So I'm going for a 2-2. I think it'll be entertaining.
All right.
For the neutral, we'll be having a heart attack.
Yeah, I'm going with you, Dan. I'm going 2-1. You know, I think this is a great opportunity for Arsenal to get the 3 points. And I'm looking at our home form has been super. We haven't lost a game at home. We haven't drawn a game at home this season. You know what I mean? So, at Liverpool, we know they're a great side. But I know that we're a great side as well at the moment, and we're at home. So I'm going 2-1 to Arsenal. Let me just do this super chat here. Madav says, Tommy actually played as a left back for the last 15 to 20 minutes in the Europa League game. It's
true.
We were there, right? I think that was a hint that we were testing him in the role. Believe in the manager. Well, we definitely got to believe in the manager. But I'm going for a 2-1. Let me just remind you of the two teams again. The Liverpool team, let me just give it to you here, is in goal, Alisson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk, Tsimikas in for Robertson, and there's no Fabinho. They're starting with Henderson and Thiago, Diaz, Salah, Jota and Nunes. That suggests that they're going to go with a similar formation to what they used against Rangers during the week. On the bench for them is Kelleher, Gomez, Fabinho, Konate, Milner, Firmino, Elliott, Carvalho and Phillips. That is the Liverpool team. And the Arsenal team is Ramsdale in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Tomiyasu, Partey, Xhaka, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. And on the bench for Arsenal is Matt Turner, Tierney, Cedric, Holding, Lokonga, Fabio Vieira, Marquinhos, Nelson and Eddie Nketiah. That is the Arsenal bench. Big game coming up. Don't forget to check out our Matchday Live, brought to you today by NordVPN. Turkish is going to be hosting that. I'm going to be at the game. We'll be speaking to fans in the studio, getting your opinions as well. We want to hear those in the full-time show after the game. And also I'll be outside the ground speaking to the fans and getting their opinions on what hopefully will be a massive win. If we can win this game today, I really think this is a huge step in showing the league this season what Arsenal can do. And, you know, this is up against a team that we haven't beaten for a while. Let's put that right today. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks to you guys. And we're going to be back very soon with Matchday Live.
It's just not working. Why is it not working?
What are you screaming at, mate? There's not even a game on. Calm down, what's going on?
I'm trying to access this video in this country and I can't do it. It's getting on my nerves. It's doing my natty.
Leave it here. You need NordVPN. It's the most convenient way of browsing the internet. And you can do it wherever you want in the world.
Really?
Yes, and for our fans, we get 4 months for free on the 2-year plan. Look, here you go.
Oh, thank you.
It's alright, come on, let's go watch some of the Invincible reruns.
Don't be mad. Be invincible. Click the link to be invincible.